debt ceiling, sovereign debt, growth, social instability. What can the IMF do about it? Now, what does fiscal consolidation mean? There's this huge debate going on as to whether or not the austerity measures that are being decided, that we actually recommend in many cases, will be a hurdle to the recovery and the picking up of growth.
Let's be serious. This entire process is a joke. You had Geithner running around saying there's no chance that anyone would ever downgrade the United States. Well, he's not the one making the decisions.
Is there a risk that the United States could lose its AAA credit rating, yes or no?
No risk of that.
No risk.
No risk. Again, if you listen carefully now, you see the leadership of the United States of America, the president, the Republican leadership in both houses, and the Democrats recognizing now this is the right thing to do for the economy.
I want to announce that the leaders of both parties in both chambers have reached an agreement that will reduce the deficit and avoid default.
The United States prized top AAA credit rating has been cut for the first time ever. Standard & Poor's has dropped America's ranking to a AA+.
If you think this economy is bad now, wait till the word gets around the world that Uncle Sam has become a deadbeat. That's the bottom line, all that really matters in this argument. If the rest of it, all the predictions and projections about what the state of the economy will be 7 or 8 years from now, sounds like mumbo jumbo. Well, that's because that's just what it is.
Washington is not the biggest player in this. The global bankers are the biggest players, the global hedge fund managers, and that's where the action, that's who's determining the outcome of this, not the players in Washington. They have already ceded control to the global banking industry.
Now, with that as a background, sovereign debt, growth, social instability, what can the IMF do? And the good news from the fund perspective is that the fund will continue to be in business because the fund is actually relevant when there are crises. And clearly, we're not short of that at the moment. So the fund is clearly and has been back in business. The previous managing director, Dominique Strauss-Kahn, did a very good job at resetting the IMF as a credible partner, as a source of intellectual caliber of the highest level.
It's a beginning of global governance. It was easier, as I said, because of the crisis. We need this. And if something has been understood by the layman during this crisis, is that globalization is no more only a topic for lectures and conferences. That's a reality. And I think everybody had clearly understood that, understand that now it's impossible to find a domestic solution to global problems.
Sure, we get a few more trinkets, we get to buy more products, but we're selling our souls to the devil.
Maybe in layman's terms, this is one part of the government lending another part of the government money, which would not lead to long-term confidence once the American people understood the basics a little bit better.
Well, it should be added that we also have a funding cost, and as interest rates go up, we'll have a liability cost as well as an asset cost, so it may or may not be a return to the Treasury.
I just might say that it's possible for a country to have a currency without a $1 trillion debt.
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah.
The way you get out of this mess is you need to accept the fact that the dollar is in a bubble and needs to be marked down by 50 or 60%. You need to take the hit. IMF is now pulling the strings in Europe. They're also pulling the strings in Washington. Christine Lagarde, as a matter of fact, said, who's the new chief of the IMF, that the extraordinary privilege the extravagant privilege of the U.S. dollar that's been enjoyed since World War II is now at risk as the U.S. dollar loses its world reserve currency. I think most Americans would prefer to be sovereign and free than to be a vassal state of international bankers.
When other countries are in need of support and financial support, and when we put together a program, then the fund has the leverage. Then the fund can, with the expertise, the benchmarking, the previous programs that it has put together, the fund is in a position to say, you have to do this in a very forceful or very nice way. But at the end of the day, it boils down to are the conditions of the program satisfactory so that the fund can actually chip in and participate in the financing of that country.